Mwenye masikio ambiwi sikiza. So hata wewe ukiwa huna haja kuweka emblem yako ikuwe sikio, watu wanasikia wenyewe bwana. Asikio. So anyway, nitamalizia hapo. I can go on and on. And just thank you again and again. And particularly thank the Kenyan people out there who are listening to us for this emphatic message and this assertive victory. And we will not let you down. We promise you. Hii vitu tumeongeza yote. Wajua hizi vitu UDA imepata, zote tumeongeza. Hakuna kitu tumepoteza na tumeongeza. Hizi 4 zilikuwa zote si zetu. Tumeongeza. Zile 16, saa 17 tumeongeza. Alafu wewe bado unajidanganya mahali katika Twitter yako, sijui unaweka hashtag ya sijui nani atakuwa na one term. Labda ni wewe. Kwa hivyo nitamalizia hapo. Niulize, tupatie maswali kidogo hapa na pale. Yes, ndugu.
Yes, okay. SG, a question.
Yeah.
Questions.
Hey, questions.
Yes, we are just about to mark the first anniversary of the 10-point agenda. As far as expectations are concerned, would you say the government has implemented or met the expectations of the agenda? And number 2, is Kibiki's position safe?
So how is that related to this by-election? Lakini endelea,
And in terms of the ODM UDA pact, how far have you progressed with the plans to actually formalize it into a coalition?
So your first question. I was a member of NADCO, and I can tell you for free that there are a lot of measures that have already taken place to implement some of the proposals that were made by NADCO, including the reconstitution of the IBC. There is a raft of proposals also before the National Assembly and the Senate in terms of implementing the legislative aspects of the National Dialogue Committee, because one of the 10 points agenda is implementation of NADCO. To a large extent, other issues around matters to do with cost of living. Ama uja notice unga na nini zimeenda chini. Because Mungu alitubariki na mvua, tukatoa mbolea, we subsidize production of consumption. We have stabilized the Kenya shilling. So importation is more stable and more, we have a surplus in terms of our import cover. So to a large extent, we have done that. In matters of governance, you know, it is civil society that went to court, stopped the committee on matters violence or the investigation. You know, civil society, this particular one, not the ones, not that there is a genuine class of civil society, but there's one that is extremely subversive. If Kenya works, they're out of business. So every time we implement anything, or we try to implement anything, they go to court. They go to court. Before the court makes a determination, you know, there has been official sabotage by the opposition. And there has been official judicial overreach. Wanazuia kila kitu. Wanazuia barabara. Wanazuia health. Wanazuia SHA. Wanazuia. By the time they come up with an order or a ruling, we've lost 2 years. Wanazuia GMO, alafu baada mwaka mmoja na nusu we have already dealt with security of food security, wanafungua. They have sabotaged this country. So kila mtu ana prepare. Mimi siku moja nimeitisha mkutano State House. Lempande huyo hata amefika kotini kuzuia sisi kuitisha mkutano State House. Ndio nikaomba ofisi sasa hapo. Wao ni ukija ukinikwambia nipate State House kama SG. What's the problem? You know, we have become litigious and petty. So we support litigation to defend the Constitution. some aspects of governance, we must. But the court stops everything. So they delay, they try to forestall our transformation agenda. They try to stop the housing. They try to stop SHA. We are running late, but we are there. In the meantime, the opposition keeps saying, iko wapi SHA, iko wapi nyumba, iko wapi barabara. So we realize that we have challenges. But I think in terms of NADCO implementation, we have been, and there will be a report coming out next week. I think the committee will give its interim report. And from there, they will also tell us the progress we have made so far, and the president and youth leader will receive it officially. That is the ODM party leader. Here is also generously called youth leader. In terms of Professor Kindiki, that's a discussion that is, in my view, as UDA, he is our deputy president. He is our running mate 2027 as UDA. As other people might have opinions, opinions are welcome. That's part of negotiation. I've had those opinions. But as UDA, Professor Kindiki is our deputy president and running mate 2027. In terms of working on the coalition, it's work in progress, and you can see it. We are partnering everywhere. Everywhere, in government. Who is our Minister for Finance? Can't you see uchumi inaenda vizuri? We've stabilized the economy of this country. We've met our foreign obligations. We've stabilized the shilling. We have been able to renegotiate or restructure or reprofile other obligations, including debt, to provide ourselves with headroom. They had fixed us. Every domestic revenue mobilization was going to paying debt. But we have been able now to get some headroom so we can spend in a few other critical areas, including healthcare. So, and that's John Badi and the team. So, there's security of supply. Sasa very soon, you know, most of you have not realized that LPG has gone down. Nani Minister Energy? And now by the time we commission, we have commissioned Lake Gas, we are going to commission Taifa Gas, and then we are going to do a G2G on LPG. That will bring down the cost of LPG. And these are members of the ODM party. One was the chairman, John Badi. So the coalition is already working. It is the formalization in terms of how we face the elections. And I think that also will not be a very difficult issue, because look at UDA. But, you know, by the time we were in State House the other day, we had 12,000 aspirants. We are now at 17,000. And by the time I think we are going to the election, we'll be at probably 60,000. Because by the time we tell civil servants they can cross over, others can resign and start work and start campaign, we'll be surprised of the avalanche. Hii, ndugu, prepare transformation ya Kenya. Belt and tighten your belt. Hiya, I saw these two hands, yes.
Yeah, you mentioned something to do with your sister, Pastor, that is not here. As ADA, this week for UDA. Are you not worried about what is currently?
No, I'm the SG of the broad-based. Yeah. Listen to me to know what the broad-based is thinking. Yes. No, the growing infights.
What does that mean to you as that formal unity ahead of elections?
The growing infights, and this is not just being said, the growing infights, hata siku moja ndugu yangu Sifuna alisema kuanzia lini pesa ya Uhuru ikawa mbaya, you know, an acknowledgement that pesa ya Uhuru si mbaya. What has happened, there was an organic movement of ODM towards supporting the two-term. So what Uhuru Kenyatta and its forces of status quo did was to appoint a few people to cause disruption in particularly the Nyanza and the Luya base. So tunaona akachukua wawili huku na wawili kule. Simeona wa cause disruption, lakini they will be the ones who will be disrupted. Hii ni kitu ni fujo tu. Sisi Waswahili tunaita povu inashuka. Do you know what it means to run a political infrastructure? ODM is a 20-year-old party. I am here trying to build this party with others. Nyele imekuwa nyeupe. Unafikiria hii ni press conference? How many times do you see me addressing press conference? Only now, when you need to communicate policy. The work of an SG is to be methodical, to be strategic, to sit in caucuses, to run party functions and party institutions, to run elections. You know, when we were in Kabras, I had to talk to some of the ODM people. Nikaambia jua, wakanipigia wao actually, wakaniambia, wajua SG yetu badala ya kuwa katika elections, alikuwa yuko Kitengela. So hata ile candidate wa ODM was performing fairly dismally. Do you know the candidate of ODM withdrew in our favor in West Kabras? That's what happens when you have a friend first who can take over, but when a person thinks his responsibility is to give strongly worded press conferences regularly and to analyze newspapers in the morning. And, you know, so wana analyze newspaper kila asubuhi. Is that the work of an SG really? No. SG is supposed to be the newspaper and the media. So kila asubuhi huko kwa media house, unakwenda, you make an appearance, a performance in the Senate. Na wale wa Senate wanasema ile performance ni kwa vile kuangaliwa asubuhi. I heard the governor saying that. Wajua hii kitu, this is a long race. I've been there. Tumeanza kwa zetu kunapata hivi wadogo. Paka mwili haijui kazi nyingine, but resilience. So I'm telling you, an SG of a party, I want to write a manual what an SG of a party must do. You must actually build the party for the future. Sasa wewe umechip off, kila mtu wewe unasema sijui Raila alikuambia nini? But you have not shown any leadership. I have not felt him as an SG. I have been in this broad-based. I go for a lot of interactions. But half the time, so now, as I will speak for the broad-based, and I don't think anybody disputes that. Ukinisikia mimi, ujue hiyo ndio broad-based. Ukisikia mtu mwingine Kitengela, hiyo ni uongo. Bora umefurahi. Yes.
Sir, just take you back to where you're coming from.
Yes.
You have to be very realistic. The invites might cause a threat to the ODM support background. What do you think UDA can do if the wrangles continue that point? Will you seek an alternative party to support the 2027 race?
Wewe John angalia Sifuna na Orengo. Wewe unafikiria Mturukana anaongojea kusikiza Sifuna? Unafikiria Mpokot, Mgabra, Msomali, Mgiriama? Ajua you guys are simplistic in this Kenyan politics. That was Raila's base. Look at where it has moved. That's why we've not lost an election in that area since. Not in Tana River, not in Samburu, not in even Narok tulipoteza kwa ajili of the demographics. It's Narok town. DCP kaja hapo, kaleta ukabila. Not Turukana, not anywhere. So mimi ile iko ukweli wa mambo. Unajua hiyo ni kura ngapi mwanzo? Angalia on the voter register. Inakaribia milioni 6. Na hao ndio walikuwa hawajakatiwa ID. Waliwaita marginalized. Mkawaambia walete birth certificate ya nyanya zao na babu zao. Sasa wana register hivi tu. Na hata kuna watu hawajakuwa optimized in terms of registration. Nikiwaambia hii 3 to 5 million votes, it is real my brother. Watu walikuwa hawako kwa voter register. Hatuja optimize voting yetu. So huko tumeconsolidate. Raila's that marginal axis is being built. Iko nini ya kututisha? The votes, the people who've been dignified. Watu who are feeling ownership, who are feeling government who are feeling the impact of our policies. Hii wengine ni maneno tu wamejieka kwa akili yao. Natembea is a good man. When he was a provincial administrator, he once helped me to do something. Alishika mtu alikuwa amemwibia rafiki yangu. I don't know whether that's a good definition of a good man, but Natembea alikuwa kwa serikali ya Kibaki, sio? Alikuwa kwa serikali ya Uhuru Kenyatta as RC. Mbona hakuna siku alimwambia Uhuru Kenyatta hiyo maneno? Ameanza jana. Ni William Ruto alisema ile maneno, anasema wao Waluya wamesemekana wao ni kazi ya nyumbani. Ni William Ruto alisema hiyo. Akasema wao Waluya inasemekana wao ni kazi ya sijui ya kulinda. Si ni William Ruto ame appoint Omenda to the chieftaincy of our defense forces. Ama Air Force commander waliaula. Hao according to him ni private security. Bona Wamalo alikuwa defense minister, bona hakuwa appoint according to nani Didmas, hata generali wa jeshi la wokovu. Kwacha bwana. So hiyo vitu usijali, hizo vitu tutadecimate. Kama wao wako na wave, bona ukwenda kushinda hii ka ward kamoja tu. Tumewashinda decisively. Winning an MCA position with 1,000 votes is not a joke. All MCAs hata wakati uko kwa wave unashinda na kura 300 400. So my brother, hii Kenya, you don't limit your discussion to what is visual. Wewe nakwambia mimi hakuna wale watu Rukana na nani wanaongojea kitu Sifuna ama wale ama Orengo atasema. In fact Orengo pia anaweza semeshwa huko kwa. Yes, let me have 2 last questions.
Yes. Yes, it's true that we have witnessed last night UDA has carried all the by-election seat. But your competitor is alleged that the party has crowded in those few by-elections. In 2027, the theme is not the same. What's your take?
Sasa kama you can't win an election where all of you can go and campaign, kwani that reality will not only be facing us, it will also be facing them. Kwani wao ndio watakuwa hawako kila mahali? If they can't preserve one election, how will they preserve almost 2,000 elections? Because in there will be governors, there will be MCAs. Kama wawezi linda election moja. Juzi nimeona Matiangi anaongea na magari. Because wao wanachukua crowd as a necessary unit, anaongea na magari. Vijana wake wanatukana kila mtu, kina Kibagendi. Akiamka asubuhi ni matusi. Tena ya ukabila. Sasa sisi tunaangalia tu. Lakini siku tukipiga kura, sisi tunajua vile tutapiga, sisi ndio mafundi. Hiyo watu yangu hawasikizi hiyo watu yetu. We have been dignified in this government. Now many people down there have been dignified. Na hiyo kumalizia, huyu wa Munyoro ameshindwa Mbeere North, ameshindwa Ivurore, ameshindwa Muminji. Ni mlima gani anaongelea? Mbona asiende hapo tu akamp? Aseme wewe William Ruto wewe. Mbona hajafanya? Alikamp. Nasikia na Mbeere North ile Mbeere North. Nisikasikia mara anaingia kwa boma ya mtu anaanza kukana mbuzi yake. Mlima ikateleza. So bora hakuna kitu pull off. Hii watu mwanzo hii wa Munyoro hana. Can you imagine him as vice president right now, deputy president? We cured a mistake. We are fine, I think.
Thank you so much. We have a very strong diaspora, Kenyans in diaspora who are following closely what is going on at home. So as the government, what message do you have for the Kenyans in the diaspora about the solution and confidence on how they can participate in their economy?
I think diaspora, first and foremost, have done, our diaspora remittances have gone up, courtesy of Kazi Maju and many other policies of this government. Diasporas bring money for their families and for investment, isn't it? Why would they be bringing money if they had no confidence in the country? But number two, I'm not asking you a question, I'm just saying in a contextual way. So I think the diaspora is a very important component. We are building our diaspora presence very strongly. We even have amended our constitution. We have put in there the Diaspora League, and we want to now design a formula through our guidelines of how to elect their leaders, because we want leaders elected, not selected. And therefore, we want them to vote, we want them to continue to support government programs, and want them represented. I think the PS Diaspora has done an amazing job. She is using other softwares to continue interacting with them, for them to be able to remit support, for us to be able to convey message. Sahi, the infrastructure we are building, nyinyi mnaona, si nyinyi nyote mjana mlikuwa mnaangalia stream yetu ya results. I'm 100%, we were seeing the traffic. Because we have a network. Every polling center tuko na mtu. That's how diverse. Now we have not rolled out. You roll out your political infrastructure closer to the elections. Na sasa since we are operating at 10% maybe, ili ya warm up, na Muturi anakasirika na rangi ya kidole. Je, tukioperate 100%? So that kind of situation. So I'm grateful. I think I really am. I'm happy you are here. I'm inviting you all, even as you sit behind those cameras, to use this opportunity either to join the UDA party or to register as aspirants. Mmoja nyinyi mkiwa katika chama, we are done bana. Mkiwa katika chama, maybe we'll get fair coverage. Because some of your editors are very angry. Ni nani amewakasirisha? Some of your editors are extremely malicious. What is happening to them? You know, most of them are like my age mates. Because this is the level at which we are middle level managers na nini. They are very angry. Kwani being an editor I thought was a big achievement. Unakuwa kidogo happy, unaweka ndevu, unaweka white hair, unapata time ya kwenda kufanya practice, unakula healthy. So, but wow, they are angry bwana. Throughout, salala. That also shows the state of mind bwana. Sijui nani aliwakasirisha. So unaweza onesha hii editors kama they want to run it. Hiyo part mumechukua. Nataka tuongee nao because maybe there might be something we don't know. Haiwezekani kila siku unachimba mabaya tu na uchimbi mazuri, na half of it is lies. That's why hakuna mahali inaenda. Yes.
Yeah, you have spoken about your work as SG.
Yes.
But, I have heard Chris Omar say that one of the reasons why he joined UDA is because he promised opposition.
Who's Chris Omar? Yeah?
Chris Omar is the former MP of Kiminini.
Oh, who promised him?
I don't know, but that's what he said.
So mimi nikwambia nyinyi watu ya fake news. Wajua mnaokota rumors. Daddy alimepromisewa. I promise you. Sasa enda utangazi huko. Sasa kwamba niliambiwa. Wajua, that's the problem. I have seen people arguing, this country has lost sijui nini. Namwambia, my dear sister, do you know what that money is about? Do you know what it represents? To lose that kind of money. How do you lose money that you don't have? The country has lost 100 billion in SHA. I said, where is it? there's not a single cent that has been spent by the Kenya government on SHA. It is the investor who's putting his money, and then over a period of time will be for maintenance and operations and system upgrades and whatever, atakuwa akipata kitu yake. Oh, pepa tumepoteza pesa hapa. Hakuna, all the major flagship projects za Kenya, hakuna pesa imewekwa. Special Economic Zone, Afrexim Bank imekuja, imefanya PPP na sisi. Hii barabara inajengwa hii ya Rironi Mau Summit, Mchinese alafu ataweka mahali ya kulipa. Ile kutoka Mau Summit kuelekea Malaba itaanza next year, pia ni payroad. Tunaanza second phase A2 ya SGR, because sasa hii imefika kwa shamba ya Uhuru Kenyatta na tujui tufanye nini tukifika hapo. So tunataka tutoke hapo kwa shamba yake tukielekea Kisumu Malaba. So because tutafuta hiyo A2 na alafu tuna join A3, watu ushirika wanakuja kuijenga bila ya kutumia pesa ya Wakenya. Kwa hivyo sasa hii ni PPP, sasa hii ni kuuza maarifa. Hakuna tenderpreneurs. That's why tenderpreneurs wamepata shida sana. Watu walikuwa wanaweka kola hivi chini, wanaweka mkufu ya dhahabu, wanajifanya wao ndio wanajua biashara, kumbe ni kuiba tenda. Sasa hii wamejipata hakuna kitu ya kuiba. So Chris Wamalwa umemwahidi kwa social media. Hii ni ngumu kuniondoa hapa. Asante sana. Mungu awabariki. for this preliminary press brief or press interaction. I am joined by leaders in the Secretariat and our Secretary for Women Affairs, who's a leader in Nairobi, Honorable Cecilia, and our MCAs talk a bit on one or two other issues, and then hopefully we'll field some questions. 27th February 2026, emphatic, decisive, triumphant. With valor and gallantry, the Yellow Army, that's the UDA, grassroots formation, has once again failed the paper tigers, content creating, rudderless, clueless, visionless, online warriors, tribal, parochial saboteurs, spineless surrogates of past regimes manufactured by a destructive media, operating aimlessly and tactlessly as a disjointed opposition, intent on scuttling by reversing the most bold, courageous, and most progressive socio-economic revolution in independent Kenya that has restored dignity and inclusivity at the behest of their patrons who represent the ugliest faces of status quo. A saddening, nauseating galaxy of remnants of past regimes without any track record, as you know, some of them from Sekuru, house niggers they are, representing an unholy camaraderie, hoping to halt Kenya's most progressive transformation. In consolidating these historic triumphs over the malicious and reactionary intents, the United Democratic Alliance, UDA, its leadership, President William Samoei Ruto, its deputy leadership, His Excellency the Fire, takes this early opportunity to thank and congratulate all Kenyans who turned out yesterday, 26th February 2026, to exercise their cardinal democratic right to elect their leaders. They have bestowed trust and confidence in UDA and our candidates by voting them into office in a victory most decisive, most resounding, and politically domineering over other rudderless political formations. And you do realize, in November I was here again, we scored 17 out of 24 victories as the broad-based. Today, 4 out of 4. Lakini munakaa kwa social media mukijiambia iko kitu nyingine. Therefore, we warmly welcome and congratulate Honorable Tubi Mohamed Tubi for a decisive victory in Isiolo South Parliamentary seat, alongside Elifas Kanainga Njiru, Honorable Duncan Muratia Nyaga, and Honorable Peterson Njeru for their decisive victories in West Kabras, Evrore, and Muminji wards respectively. I mean Shakalacha, Elfas Kainanga Shalacha, Honorable Duncan Muratia Nyaga and Honorable Peterson Njeru for their victories in West Kabras, Evrore, and Muminji wards respectively. And these are diverse parts of Kenya. Wajua Kalonzo akikuwa na by-election anasimamishwa Ukambani peke yake, sio? Sisi we run everywhere. This clean sweep across the board in all elective seats on offer stands as a powerful testimony of immense trust Kenyans continue to repose in the UDA party, its party leader, his deputy, and his deputy. It equally reflects a clear departure in the minds of voters towards narratives that genuinely promise transformation of livelihoods and communities, as opposed to the disjointed opposition, hot air policies, which is riddled with discursive emptiness. The voters are emphatically rejecting politics, whose currency remains hollow microphone gymnastics, noise without substance, and rhetoric without responsibility, often designed to stoke emotions and ethnic divisions rather than offer solutions. The Kenyan message emerging from the just concluded by-elections speaks unmistakably to the growing public faith in the implementation of the manifesto, the plan, and the party leaders' transformational agenda aimed at uplifting Kenya from the third world status to first world prosperity, the Singapore-style development trajectory. Alafu wengine wenu mnafikiria ni Singapore nchi, Singapore mindset. Need to change your mindset. If you believe you have a certain poor mindset, it never changes. Singapore is a mindset. It is not just a physical structure. It's about moving ourselves from thinking big. Nawaona watu kama kina Wamunyoro wanafikiria kwenda Singapore ni kuchukua ndege. On behalf of other Kenyans, residents of Isiolo, West Kabras, Evrore, and Muminji have finally vetoed the disjointed opposition floods of words accompanied by drought of ideas. UDA shall not, as we say, UDA shall not be drawn into unproductive discourse with a rudderless opposition whose political domain revolves around profiling citizens and sustaining endless marathons of empty talk divorced from political substance. We once again want to sincerely thank Kenyans for trusting in our credible commitments, for listening to the clarity of our message during the campaigns, and for decisively switching off the degenerative policy-free pronouncements of the disjointed opposition. I will just talk on one or two aspects that I think must not go without mention. The immorality of Uhuru Kenyatta and his Jubilee Party must be brought to fore. They deliberately ran sister against brother. When we had a by-election in Banissa, UDA was presented with a candidate who was a cousin to the brother of the deceased. There was an intent by some of our friends to play brother against brother in that election. Out of the sheer integrity of President William Ruto, he called the leaderships of Mandera County to a discussion and even agreed under which party we will field a candidate. But Uhuru Kenyatta, who has run a legacy borrowed from his father of marginalization, exclusion, of alienation, of disenfranchisement, areas that they deliberately left out of the prism of development, areas that they decided young children will be born without water, without shelter, without education, without infrastructure. A legacy he continued even in his own presidency. Has the audacity to go and incite a sister to run against a brother, creating animosity or building on the animosity of a family. I am happy the people of Isiolo have sent a resounding message. The people of Isiolo were not sending a message to Bina. Bina is innocent. They were sending a message to Uhuru Kenyatta. The brother won with 90% of the votes. At least in your retirement, exercise some level of decorum and humility. You were president for 10 years. You messed up the country. You messed up the economy. You left us in debt. You did not visit these marginal areas. You take a young woman, put her against her brother to create discord, and then even ignore her after that when you realize you are losing. This Uhuru Kenyatta is today the patron of this opposition, the face of facade, a patron who is bent on preserving that status quo that we are talking about. So, and I'm cautioning areas that have been historically marginalized. Be wary. That's why you find in our areas, sisi tushaamua ni 2-term. Nenda northern Kenya, coast, it's only one young man, Anajicha Jicho something. He's the only leader. In that whole area, shows you every marketplace has at least one madman. The whole area of northern Kenya and coast is tucked in under a 2-term presidency. Is tucked in under a government that has offered them dignity and representation. Only one person, who Wamunyoro has confessed in his social media, he has trained and mentored. What do you expect of a mentor, a mentee of Wamunyoro? By everybody, from Lamu to Kiunga, from Kiunga to everywhere, to North Ho, to Lokichogio. We are boldly behind William Ruto, the UDA party, and transformative leadership. And you know, one day I told you, hii chama, hata kama kuna gazeti moja mbili hapa, you run headlines of malice. We are deeply rooted in the grassroots. I told you this party is going to be there. You thought, wewe unafikiria mimi ni ile secretary general ya kwenda kupiga kelele? Mimi ni ya kupanga. Sisi tunapanga hii chama. Munapiga kelele, who are trying to run against us. No track record. Barabara zao za nyumbani ni vumbi. Wao wenyewe ni vumbi. Wanaitwa majina ya wadudu. Wanaitwa chameleon, wengine anaitwa watermelon, wanaitwa majina ya mafruit. So you do so I'm asking you, as Kenyans, first we are really energized. But I also to urge you as the UDA fraternity, let's now get out and build the party. Shouldn't allow this continued facade of Kenyans in the social media trying to create pandemonium and discord. A whole newspaper and media houses owned from proceeds of past corruption are constantly telling us what to do. Kenya, tukija kuambia story, vijana yote ile ya mabwenyenye wameshikana sasa kupigana na vijana wale without surnames. Jamaa anasema anataka Kibicho, anaitwa Kibicho. I was reading an article saying generational change. Let me tell you a story as I wind up. I was in the NADCO, National Dialogue Committee. I, Cecily Mbarire, we were co-chaired by Kimani Ichung'wah. The majority leader of the Senate was also there. The late Raila Odinga went and told President William Ruto that Kalonzo Musyoka had complained that our delegation from UDA was fairly junior. Kwa upande wao alikuwa yeye, alikuwa Eugene, alikuwa yule jamaa anaitwa yule ambaye kujipigia kura anaitwaje? Alikuwa Secretary General wa Jubilee. Kioni. Bruto told him, we are the most senior leaders in the UDA. These people were talking about generational transformation. It has already happened in UDA. Our president is a young president. Our treasurer is in his 30s. Our majority leaders are in their 30s and 40s. Cecily is a young, brilliant woman. Yours truly, Hassan Omar, is here. Professor Kindiki has unmatched potential and qualities, which hii transformation ilianza kitambo. That's why now we are sowing the seeds of reorganizing totally the architecture of this state, to give access and dignity to people you denied livelihoods. Unazaa mtoto Lokichogio, tunazaliwa huko pwani, hatuna barabara, hatuna maji, hatuna stima, hatuna elimu. Alafu unatuita wajinga, badala kutuita wavuvi unatuita wavivu. Mnakwenda mnasema yule mwingine ni ngoroko, unaita mwingine shifter. Mnaweka with lack of development there is definitely insecurity. You start to seal them. You treat them like concentration camps. William Ruto has changed that. Mlifanya mchezo na mzaha ya barabara zile zilikuwa zinajengwa sijui na square Tarbach sijui Garbatula, mkafikiria ni uongo. Iko maji inafika huko. Last mile yetu hakuna Mkenya atazaliwa tena iwe nipata potea bahati nasibu. Wakenya anazaliwa hapa. Mnaona mtu mmoja anaitwa Bonaya Godana, msema he's brilliant. Kwa ajili by chance alipita shule. Alimelelewa na mashirika ya kanisa. Oxfam ndio imeleta maji. Shame on you. Alafu mnakuja hapa mnatuanza we have tried to dignify Kenyans. Alafu mnataka Kalonzo Musyoka has no recognizable footprint in any development. Eugene Wamalwa, who is he? I look at James Orengo, my elder. I don't know the contradiction of standing on a platform with Wamunyoro and Watermelon and Eugene and saying you are looking for Kenya's transformation. Hey, hata iuze mimi naomba inijie uzuri. Hata nimeacha nywele yangu nyeupe ionekane so that when I age mwaseme hao ni reactionaries. Progressives ndio hizi. Hii Economic Council, who are they? They're some of the most brilliant minds. This country is headed by some of the most brilliant minds. Hata kama wanaenda kotini kuzuia because they know what it is doing. They've stabilized the economy. They've eased the burden on the dollar. We have ensured security of supply. We have repaired our agriculture. We are dealing with our MSMEs. We are doing tunajenga infrastructure. Tumelipa debt ambazo tuliwekewa na watu wengine na hatujalalamika. Cost tunajenga special economic zone. Infrastructure inaendelea. Manufacturing inaendelea. Mko na special economic zone inajengwa Nyanza. Every country, every Kenyan is being put in inclusive prism of development. Alafu nyinyi mnasema mnatazuia SHA ili muwapatie nini? A system that has failed. NHIF. Mnasema mtazuia manyumba ili watu waishi wapi? Mkue landlords ya watu in Kibira. Tuacheni bwana. Hii nchi, I am very grateful that Kenyans out there who you ignore most have seen the impact of this government. That's why, ndugu yangu Muturi, Democratic Party unateta umewekwa wino mwingi. Hiyo ni tension. Unawekwa mtoto mdogo na kupaka ukaribu upige yeye kofi. Wamunyoro has turned him into a vile human being because Wamunyoro is angry about anything and everything. So the whole group is angry. Wewe uko hapo na candidate yako hapa anapata kura 1,000, yetu anapata 7,000. Ati wewe ni party leader. Ati unatafuta uongozi ya nchi. Sasa kwa umebaki tu na sisi tukakupanga. So we have to be quite we now have to speak assertively. The Kenyans are speaking and they are telling us to be bold. This is what the message is coming from by-election after by-election. They are asking us tusiache maneno inaendelea. And they have read through your bluff. They have seen the disinformation. Mnatafuta hivi, mnatafuta ile. Wakenya wameona na kila siku. Na nyinyi mnajua hii election ilikuwa President William Ruto ameprophesize 3 million margin, vile mambo inaenda ni 5. 5, I'm telling you. Kama huku maeneo Wamunyoro anasema watu yangu wa mlima na mlima na iko hapa. Sasa iko wapi hiyo kura ya 2-3 wanatafuta? We are winning this by significant margins. And it's not just about winning election, it's the validation. Na hii chama itajenga party school. Na itaelezea wa Kenya transformation. Na tutakuwa na discourse ya vipi tutaweza kuigeuza nchi. So we are looking forward. Alafu sasa finally media also, you know, media can choose a side. You have chosen, most of you have chosen a side. But I'm urging you. Hii Kenya vile inaenda, Wakenya wanasikiza pia mtandao, wanatusikiza. Hata by tomorrow mkija na headline, wao washajua ile headline ile ambayo imetoka hapa. Yeah, so be fair. That's all people are asking you. The more you become angry, even Kenyans know. We have reports. We have done research. A significant number of Kenyans, over 70%, believe the media is unfair to the Kenyan government because they are seeing the impact of what is going on. Go and do those researches yourself. Usije mkasema sisi ndio tunawaambia. So pia Wakenya wanajua nani ni mkweli. Mkajaribu kusema sisi ni warongo, mkajaribu kusabotage. Sasa mumeonekana nyinyi warongo, barabara ziko, watu wanapata SHA, nyumba zinafunguliwa. Hata kuna mjaluo mmoja nilimsikia akisema sasa hizo wajaluo na wave kwa balcony wana so hizi vitu ziko bwana. Kwa hivyo mwenye macho haambiwi tazama, mwenye masikio haambiwi sikiza. So hata wewe ukiwa una haja kuweka emblem yako ikuwe sikio, watu wanasikia wenyewe bwana. Asikio. So anyway, nitamalizia hapo. I can go in on end. And just thank you again and again. And particularly thank the Kenyan people out there who are listening to us for this emphatic message and this assertive victory. And we will not let you down. We promise you. Hii vitu tumeongeza yote. Wajua hizi vitu UDA imepata zote tumeongeza. Hakuna kitu tumepoteza na tumeongeza. Hizi 4 zilikuwa zote si zetu. Tumeongeza. Zile 16 saa 17 tumeongeza. Alafu wewe bado unajidanganya mahali katika Twitter yako, sijui unaweka hashtag ya sijui nani atakuwa na one term. Labda ni wewe. Kwa hivyo nitamalizia hapo. Niulize tupatie maswali kidogo hapa na pale. Yes, ndugu.
SG, a question.
Yeah.
Questions.
Hey, questions.
Yes, we are just about to mark the first anniversary of the 10-point agenda. As far as expectations are concerned, would you say the government has implemented or met the expectations of the agenda? And number 2, is Kibiki's position safe?
Sasa how is that related to this by-elections? Lakini endelea,
And in terms of the ODM UDA pact, how far have you progressed with the plans to actually formalize it into a coalition?
So your first question, I was a member of NADCO, and I can tell you for free that there are a lot of measures that have already taken place to implement some of the proposals that were made by NADCO, including the reconstitution of the IBC. There is a raft of proposals also before the National Assembly and the Senate in terms of implementing the legislative aspects of the National Dialogue Committee, because one of the 10 points agenda is implementation of NADCO. To a large extent, other issues around matters to do with cost of living. Ama uja notice unga na nini zimeenda chini. Because Mungu alitubariki na mvua, tukatoa mbolea, we subsidize production over consumption, we have stabilized the Kenya shilling. So